Hey guys, welcome back to A Page in the Chapter, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Paige, and today we are doing a big book haul. So I have done quite a bit of book shopping lately. I was on holiday and it was my birthday, but also I've cleared out a good 150 to 200 books that were kind of just sitting in my shelves. So the order of books have changed. You might be noticing some differences, but that meant that I had some scope to do some more book shopping because, you know, getting rid of books means that you just go out and replace them. It's not about making space, it's about turnover. So I do have quite a few books here to show you. I have off the top of my head 12, but we'll see if I remember any other books that I have purchased. And if I do halfway through, then I'll be sure to show those to you. I'm feeling a little nervous in front of the camera, I won't lie. It has been such a long time since I've stood here and filmed a video, and I greatly apologise for that fact. It wasn't really a scheduled break from BookTube, but I needed it, and it did reach a point where I kind of told myself that I would take that break until after my birthday and the travelling and all of those kind of things just calmed down. Don't know what happened, but I just lost all motivation for making content. It just started to seem like a real chore, but I'm now back and genuinely excited to make content again, and I have missed you guys and this platform so much, and I definitely do not want to lose it. So whilst I'm obviously not happy that I took that break and I lost all of that time with you guys, I am happy that I took it if it means that my content and things is going to be better going forward. This is my official return. We will be back to videos every Wednesday and Friday from now on. So if you guys like book hauls and you would, like to stick around and see more, then why not hit that big red subscribe button down below to stay tuned for future content. I am back, I am better than ever, and we can be expecting many more book hauls in the future because I have all this space now. It doesn't look like there's space, but I promise there is. Without further ado, let's get into the books that I bought recently. So the first book that I bought whilst I was in Paris, and that is key info as to why I decided to buy this book. And so that book is Society Must Be Defended by Michael Foucault. This is in English. It was a very expensive book. It cost me €18.95, but I'm guessing it's because I bought it in English whilst in France. So it must have cost more to import or something, I don't know. I wasn't expecting to find any English bookstores whilst I was in Paris. I feel like why would I expect to find that? And so we were walking past one and I thought I'd go in, and I thought that if I was going to buy a book, then it should be something very French. So I didn't want to buy any more like Daphne du Maurier. They had romance books set in France and things like that, but I just didn't want to buy anything that felt like I could just come here and get it in a store here. But they had a whole sociology, social science section in which I found Michael Foucault, and I studied Foucault a lot in my undergrad anthropology lectures, as you can imagine. He's a very key social theorist. And so this is a collection of lectures that he gave at the University of France in 1975 to 1976, and it's been transcribed and published in this book. I'm going back to uni soon. I thought it would be a good opportunity to refresh my memory, learn some things. Foucault is mostly interested in power dynamics and power relationships, and these lectures very much go into dialogue of war and power relationships in society and between societies, and I just thought that it sounded really interesting. I have it, I'm happy to have it, and it was just a nice little thing to say that I picked up in Paris. And then the next book I would like to mention is one that I was completely not expecting to receive. But when I got home from Paris, I came into my room and there were two parcels on the bed. One I was expecting, it was a puzzle map because I've just bought a jigsaw puzzle. And then there was a second smaller one and I couldn't work out what it was. I didn't remember ordering anything, was really confused by it. And then I opened it up and I saw that the lovely Lily from Literary Lily had sent me Wolf by Wolf by Ryan Groudon. This is on my wish list, and it's more the fact that someone saw it was my birthday and wanted to send me a book more than it is like the book itself, even though I'm very excited about this. But it was just such a surprise, especially when I haven't really been active in the community or anything like that. And I'm genuinely like really thankful and so excited to read this book. This has been on my wish list for like the longest time. This has been on my wish list since I used to be like a Haley and Bookland watcher, which was before I started BookTube, because I've been watching smaller creators since being on BookTube. I believe this is like an alternative reality, like retelling of history if the Nazis had won the war, but I feel like it also has werewolves in it. So the blurb it doesn't tell me much. It tells me that our main character is Yale and she's 17 years old. It's been 10 years since the Nazis have won the war and her one job is to kill Hitler. But there is also a mention of wolves and the book is called Wolf by Wolf. So I don't know, I think it's a fantastical retelling, but I'm very interested in this and I know that it has fantastic reviews. Lily herself said that this is like an underrated fave, so I'm very excited to get into this book and thank you so much for sending it to me. And so then I decided that it was time to go on a massive book like shopping spree. I was just really letting myself go for it. You know, I figured I work hard for my money, I've just been paid, I'm not saving to go on holiday anymore, let's just relax and just, you know, not make a smart financial decision and go buy a load of books instead. So these are those books. So the first books from this little haul that I'm going to tell you about are 2 books in a romance series. I have the first one on my Kindle, so I do think having the next 2 in paperback is going to bug me. But I just saw them, as I said, I was in this mood and I enjoyed the first book, so I knew that if I bought the next 2 in paperback, it'd be fun. And so that is the rest of the Twisted series by Anna Huang. I have read Twisted Love, which is the first book, which is on my Kindle, enjoyed it. But I did want to read Twisted Games because Twisted Games follows Bridget, who has a storyline that I'm very intrigued by. It feels very Princess Diaries, which is a book series that I adore, a movie that I adore. So it's literally if the Princess Diaries was a little bit older and smuttier and more political. I literally started it last night and as we can see, I'm having a great time with it. Definitely going to be finishing that today. And I'm also vlogging it, so if you guys want to see my in-depth thoughts on this book, then just wait for the vlog. And so because they had Twisted Hate, which is book 3, I just decided to pick it up as well, because I think it would be a silly idea to not. If I've read the first one and I'm really enjoying the second one, then at some point I'll probably want to read the third one and it'll be better to just have the book. And so we may as well just continue with the contemporary and the romance books whilst I've started. And so the next book that I bought is Take Me Home Tonight by Morgan Matson. I am an avid Morgan Matson fan. I typically, recently, obviously have been moving away from reading YA contemporaries into more adult romances, but prior to this year where I've discovered adult romances, it was fantasy all year and then YA contemporary in the summertime and then back to fantasy the rest of the year. So I thought I would pick up her latest book. This one did come out last year, but last year I decided my Morgan Matson book for the summer was going to be Second Chance Summer, and this year it's going to be Take Me Home Tonight. I previously have not really gravitated towards this book because this one didn't really call to me, but it's time to have a Morgan Matson book for the summer. This is the last one left for me to read, which is very bittersweet of a feeling. Whilst the blurb doesn't really speak to me, Morgan Matson has never let me down before, so I'm not sure she would now. She writes family elements and friendship elements very well, which is why I love her books so much. Whilst they are contemporary romances, they tend to focus on so many other types of love more so than the romantic love, and this book seems like it's going to be just the same. So this follows Kat and Stevie, who are best friends. They have planned to sneak out to go into New York City for the night and just have the wildest night of their lifetime, except they get lost and then they have to try and find each other, and the whole plan seems to fall apart. It's giving Since You've Been Gone type of vibes from Morgan Matson here, so I'm very excited to get into this book. I'm going to wait for the next big heat wave that the UK gets, and then I'm going to be in the garden with this baby all day and I'll read it in one sitting because it's Morgan Matson and I tend to do that with her books. And then I picked up It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I have obviously seen this book floating around on the internet, but I haven't even read the blurb. What I did try to do was read the blurb, and I saw the first line of a review and I bought the book just from that, which is very rare. I don't typically buy books based on the little reviews on the back. And this first line is, Tessa Bailey is back with a Schitt's Creek inspired rom-com about a Hollywood it girl who's cut off from her wealthy family and exiled to a small specific northwest beach town where she butts heads with a surely sexy local who thinks she doesn't belong. But all I read was, Tessa Bailey is back with a Schitt's Creek inspired rom-com, and I bought the book because I'm currently watching Schitt's Creek. It's my first time watching it. I'm really enjoying it, so when I read that, I just kind of picked up this book and I bought it. And as well, because I've seen it online and I know Tessa Bailey has like quite a few books that are all big and people seem to really like her. So yeah, this will be my first Tessa Bailey. We'll give it a go. It seems like a summery romance. It's very big for a romance. But all that aside, again, need another heat wave. I'm gonna be out in the garden. I'm gonna be throwing it across the room, apparently. I'm going to read this and I'm just going to have a good old time. And then we won't really be surprised by this next book. We won't, because that is Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. As we know, Taylor Jenkins Reid, like, favourite author of all time. I would say Evelyn Hugo is my favourite book of all time, and yeah, I'm just, you know, we read Malibu Rising last year. I have pre-ordered Carrie Soto is Back, and I would like to do a Taylor Jenkins Reid along in August, so if you guys are interested in that, then do let me know. I've also been very tempted by One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I think I'll prefer the plotline of this one a little bit more. This follows our main character Hannah, and she's 29 and she's just had to kind of, she's moved like back to Los Angeles for another fresh start. She feels like she's like restarting her life at 29, and she bumps into like an old friend or an old love interest or something like that, and then the book shows like the two alternate timelines, and if, you know, should she go with this like childhood sweetheart or go with this guy she knows, or should she go with her friends instead, and these two alternate timelines that pose very big questions about Hannah's life. And I do love alternate reality type of stories. I believe that Taylor Jenkins Reid would have the ability to write that very well, just with her style of writing and storytelling anyway, so I thought that I would pick this one up instead of One True Loves. And then this final book in this little like contemporary section is not one I've ever seen before or ever heard of before. Jack, my boyfriend, actually picked this one off the shelves for me. I'm actually really surprised that he chose this book. It doesn't seem like something he would really gravitate towards or want to pick out. I kind of took the book from him and read the blurb as a joke, and then decided that it actually seemed like a really good book. That is The Inverts by Crystal Jeans. If that is a real name, then that is a cool name. But this book is very fun. So this book is set in 1921, so it's already off to a fantastic start, and it follows two best friends, Bettina and Bart. They're both young, rich, single people in the 1920s, except they are both gay. Shows them navigating this society whilst both being gay and like hiding their true identity. And so they decide to have a lavender marriage where they like get married but are both like, you know, gay and dating other people. But obviously the Roaring Twenties is a very difficult time to keep some secrets, and I'm sure it's all going to come out, and I don't know, I'm just very interested. It really took me by surprise. I think the book just looks very, very fun. Yeah, it's June. I thought, why not pick up a Pride pick, and I'll let you know how I feel about this book and if I recommend it in a future video. And so now we have the slightly more fantasy based ones that I bought. I have like 4 fantasy ones here, 2 of them difficult to categorize in terms of the genre, but I would say they're more fantasy. So the first book that I have here is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El Motar and Max Gladstone. This is a book that one of my friends has been begging me to read for a very long time. Okay, begging is a bit of a strong term, but has been recommending to me for a very, very long time. When I saw it on a little display in Hatchards, I kind of just figured that now was the time. I did start to read this book a little bit, but I decided to then go with the Twisted series instead because it was fitting my mood a little bit more. But from what I have read of this book, it is very, very lyrical and beautiful. It's kind of this treacherous love story between Red and Blue, and they're in a war against each other, but they're still finding ways to like communicate through letters and things. during this war. So they're against each other, but they're also forming a connection by being against each other. You don't really have any idea what's going on all that much. You're dumped in right at the middle and it's all lyrical, and I don't know, it just seemed very, very beautifully written. It seems so beautiful. I am waiting for when I'm truly in the mood for this so that I can get the full experience. I think it might make me cry, so I want to be in like a proper romantic-y type of mood to go into this. And so then I purchased The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Cloon. I read Under the Whispering Door by TJ Cloon first, but that has honestly become one of my favourite books of the whole year. I adored that book so much. It just perfect cozy vibes, made me cry like a baby at the end. I just loved it so much. More than 5 stars if I could give it that. So I thought, why not pick up The House in the Cerulean Sea? Like, why would I not? So I believe this is to do with a boarding school and like a magical boarding school, and our main character, Linus Baker, works at the department in charge of magical youth, and one day he is sent by management to go to this orphanage where dangerous children reside, including the Antichrist. Have I got that right? But when Linus and the headmaster of this boarding school start to grow closer and closer, Linus has to choose between duty and love. TJ Cloon does cozy like no other author. I'm very excited to get into this. I'm thinking like a rainy autumn day in like September and the back to school season. That's what I'm thinking this book would be good for. And then we have an absolutely massive vibe change because I bought The Burning God by R.F. Kuang, the third and final book in the Poppy War trilogy. So the Poppy War trilogy is a military fantasy that is inspired by the Opium Wars in China, and it follows our main character Rin, and she goes to this very, very elite like tactical training school where you have to specialise in either military or healthcare or strategy. And our main character Rin specialises in, I'm trying to think of like a good way to put it, it's kind of like engaging with the gods and taking opium to allow yourself to like meditate into a state where you can communicate with the gods, and using that in a war type of setting. The first 2 books have been incredibly beautiful but incredibly hard-hitting, but I've ended up loving both of them. They have been elevated to my favourite shelf in my other room, and I just figured it was finally time to buy The Burning God. I don't know if I will be reading it anytime soon, but if I didn't buy it then, I was worried that I wouldn't ever finish the trilogy because I'm scared of this book. I really, really want to. I want to know how it ends. I want, at some point, maybe not today, my soul to be absolutely destroyed by R.F. Kuang. And then we have the final book that I bought on my little book shopping spree, The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. I've mentioned this in a video like a couple years ago, but I just don't really see many people talking about this book. But I wanted it for a really long time. So this follows our main character Rin, and she only cares about 2 things, her family and her family's graveyard. And since the death of her parents, Rin and her siblings have been trying to survive by robbing graves. However, the only problem with this is that the dead don't want to stay dead, and so it's a little difficult to be robbing their graves when you're also kind of bringing them back. It sounds honestly a little bit like The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. I've never ever seen this book in a shop before, so when I knew about it and I knew that it was death related, and I've never seen it before, but you know, you finally find it somewhere, I picked it up because that was the whole point of the shopping trip, was I was supposed to pick up and buy any book that I wanted. So I did. And so here we have my quite impressive little stack of new books. It's been my dream ever since starting BookTube to have one of those like BookCon style book hauls where it's literally like 100+ books and they're like an hour long of people just going through all of the books they managed to get at BookCon. And I genuinely think this is the closest I'm ever going to get because I don't typically buy books in like a haul type of fashion. And now I've got a load of new books and I'm genuinely excited about all of them. So let me know if you have read any of these books and what you think of them down in the comment section. I would love to have a little chat about these books, just no spoilers. please. If you guys like this video and you would like to see more bookish content from me or just more book hauls in general, then do please let me know in the comments section, as well as hitting that big red subscribe button down below to stay tuned for future content. The uploading every single Wednesday and every single Friday is back from the moment that this video goes live. It's happening, we're ready. I'm going to stick to it this time. Without further ado, I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. You're enjoying everything that you are reading and there are no reading slumps in your future. And I will see you on Friday for my next video. Bye guys.